Hey, this is Shaily and you're watching EatBreatheBooks. It's been a month into the year already. You may or may not be experiencing a reading slump, meaning maybe you've been reading a ton and now you're sick of it. Everything you pick up is not interesting to you. You keep starting books and not finishing them, whatever it may be, just in case that's happening to you. Or maybe you're watching this months from now and now you're feeling like you're in a reading slump. Anyway, I got you. I have some recommendations today. I will say every book here has fast pacing, so dialogue, banter, go to the next scene, nothing drags, because I think that stories with slower pacing, which sometimes is okay depending on the story, may not help you when you're in a reading slump. When you're really in the mood, you know, you want to read like a high fantasy, you really feel like it, it's okay if the pacing's slower. But when you're just trying to get yourself to like love reading again and really enjoy something, there needs to be quick pacing. So without further ado, here's some of my favorite books that I would recommend to you if you're in a reading slump and you just want to enjoy your time. Though I will say there is one book in here that'll make you cry. But besides for that, let's get started. The first I have here, and I would say this for a lot of her books, is Colleen Hoover. This is her first book ever. It's called Slammed. And this one's incredible. This one's about a girl named Lakin whose father unfortunately passes away. She moves to a new town with her mom and little brother, and across the street is this really cute guy and his little brother that he's raising on his own. So little brothers become best friends. She and the guy go out. He shows her this whole world of slam poetry, which is something he loves to do. And then they find out that why they can't keep dating, and it's this huge deal. Like, it's really a good reason. I'm not going to give it away. I would just pick it up and read it. So that little bit of like mystery and intrigue, plus reading some of the slam poems in here, which I think you'd enjoy even if you're not a big poetry person, plus just Colleen in general, her pacing's good. This book has good pacing. I definitely think that this book would help get you out of a reading slump. The next book I actually recently finished. This one I would say you do need some tissues, but there's also happiness in it. But again, the pacing is really good. That's Love and Other Words by Christina. I know, don't let the length fool you. This book's over 400 pages. However, not that many words on a page. And again, the way that they write, you just flow fluidly from scene to scene. Like it takes you through the story. Plus, this book is told in two timelines, the present and like 15 to 10, 11 years in the past. So moving back and forth, you just hopping from one to the other, and the pacing is great. This story is about two best friends who, when they're almost in their 30s, they reunite after not talking for about a decade. So it goes back in time before, like when they were friends, and now it is a romance. It's a childhood best friends to lovers story. New adult, I would say, because while there are scenes from when they're teenagers, there's still new adult scenes in here, plus the teenage stuff is very much more like new adult feeling in a way, especially later on in the story. So I would be aware if you're not super into spice, there are scenes that you'll want to skip. But again, the pacing's great, lots of dialogue, lots of banter, fast paced. So great book to get you out of a reading slump. The next book that I have here, I'll actually talk about these two sort of at the same time. That's Kisses and Croissants by Anne-Sophie Junot and Anne and the French Kiss by Stephenie Perkins. Both of these are fantastic, fabulous YA contemporary novels, both set in Paris, which is why I'm talking about them at the same time, though they're different. This one's about a girl, her senior year of high school. She gets sent to boarding school in Paris. This one's about a girl who goes to Paris for 6 weeks in the summer to join this intense ballet program that she got into. So both of these have a lot of, you know, beautiful Parisian scenery, a lot of great stories about friendship. There's obviously romance in both of them. You really just feel like you're hanging in the city with the protagonist and her friends and her love interest. If you're a, what do you call it, set abroad junkie like me, then you'll want to read books like these. I love books that are set in other countries, so definitely would recommend those to get out of a reading slump. Okay, the next one here, this is the one that's not a contemporary, however, it almost reads like one, and that's Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. My recommendation is because this, at least for me, is a book of nostalgia, right? The first time I read this, I was 11. I've read this several times since. It's one of my favorite stories of all time. It has a special place in my heart. And sometimes when you're in your reading slump, you may want to pick up a book that you love when you were younger, okay? So it doesn't have to be Twilight. Like maybe you did read Twilight when you were younger. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you've never read it. Maybe you've never read it. Ooh. Picking up a book that was really significant to you when you were younger may bring you back to that joy, that feeling of, oh, I love reading just to read, not to hit my word count, my reading goal. So that may be Twilight for you. For me, it is. And I would say the pacing in the Twilight books, especially The first three, it's quick and it feels sort of contemporary. Yes, it's a paranormal novel, but it's not like super high fantasy, and it doesn't take a long time to sit and comprehend all these terms. It's easy to flow through it. Another similar recommendation I have, I don't have it on me, but it's the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. She wrote From Blood and Ash, which is a really popular, I think it's high fantasy, very new adult series. I only read the beginning of the first one, but her Lux series, Lux, is completely different. It's YA, very light paranormal, kind of like Twilight, like super easy to understand. And it's about a girl who moves to a new town in Virginia with her mom, and next door to her live aliens. This guy and his sister. So they don't have parents, like it's very mysterious. So it kind of has that like Twilight vibe, but with aliens, and it's so much fun to read. The next one here was one of my favorite books of last year, and that's Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I just think she's so cool. She has a new book coming out in, I believe, March called Mr. Wrong Number. That one's a new adult. This is a young adult, and it's her debut novel. This is about a girl who lives on this block where like a ton of the people on the block are basically in the same grade as her. Like they're all in high school, and they were all besties when they were little. They used to play together all the time on their block, but as they grew up, some of them drifted apart, except for her and another girl are still best friends. And one of the guys moved away. But then he moves back and she wants to go out with him, but he doesn't really see her as like dating material because he still sees her as that like little strange kid when they were younger. So she gets this other guy in her block who she kind of despises, but like, does she really, to help her out so that he can convince the other guy to go out with her. So obviously we know how a story like that goes. And this is just taking you from place to place, debacle to debacle, you know, all the shenanigans that happen in a rom-com, a little bit of slapstick humor, which works really well. Last but not least, I have Counting Down With You by Tashie Bhuiyan, another young adult contemporary novel, sort of an enemies to lovers, about a girl whose parents go away to Bangladesh for 4 weeks, and her parents are pretty strict. So now that she's just, it's her at home with her bro and her dadu, who I believe is her grandma, who doesn't live with them, but she comes to stay with them. Her grandma's actually surprisingly a little more lax. So she starts tutoring this guy in her class who's getting bad grades, and turns out he actually has a heart of gold, and there's a lot more to him than there is on the surface, of course. So I definitely read this to get you out of a reading slump, again, because it's really always the same. The pacing, lots of quick dialogue, there's a lot of heart in this story, and yes, this one looks a little bit long as well. It's around 450 pages, but honestly, the pacing in this is really great, so shouldn't take too long to get through. And you know what? I feel like when getting out of a reading slump, yes, it's nice to be able to finish a book quickly, but even if it's a little longer, so long as you're truly enjoying it, like that's the whole point, right? It's just to enjoy reading. So that was it. Those are my recommendations of some books to help you get out of a reading slump. If you'd like me to do a part 2, or if you have any other video requests, please let me know, because I would love to make the content that you want to see. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and click the little bell to turn on notifications. Comment down below a book that you would suggest someone to get out of a reading slump. Who knows, someone may be scrolling through the comments, they'll see your suggestion, and then they'll pick up that book. Thanks so much for watching. I love you all, and you can find me on social media, which I will leave in the description down below, and as well as some other videos you may want to catch up on. I'm also going to leave below my playlist of all my Barnes & Noble shopping vlogs, because I know a lot of you love watching those, so I put them all together in a playlist. Anyway, talk to you all soon. Bye. Thanks for watching.